Hello and welcome to Vclass number 1 of English 3. Wow, it seems that there's no attendance yet. How are you today? And today is really cold. I think it's the coldest ever in this winter. Is any of you from the south? Yeah, tell me what the weather is like in your province today, in your hometown today. So what we're going to do in this Vclass, as you can see on the slide, on the screen, we're going to review present simple tense, then present continuous tense, which is followed by should, shouldn't, and then we'll come to comparative and superlative adjectives, and finally the simple past tense. Okay, first it is simple present tense. I'm sure many of you are quite familiar to this tense, and this is normally the first tense you study when learning English. So we use simple present tense to talk about regular habits or daily routines. Also, when we want to express facts and generalizations, for example, cats like a fish, or London is the capital of England. We also use simple present tense for scheduled events in the near future. For example, the bus leaves at 6 tonight, or when do we board the plane? First, we go to the structure of simple present tense. In the affirmative sentence, we have subject plus verb. Add e or es to the third person singular plus complement, as in they have 3 meals a day, or he likes dogs. In the negative sentence, we have subject plus do or does plus not plus verb, then complement. For example, we do not watch TV in the evening, or we don't watch TV in the evening. Jane does not go to school at the weekend, or Jane doesn't go to school at the weekend. In the interrogative form, we have do or does plus subject plus verb plus complement. For example, do you have English lesson on Mondays, or does she know him? And here, this is a minor practice for a present simple, and please, few minutes for you to do it. Alright, so have you finished? Wow, let's move on to the key. Number 1, I usually go to school. Number 2, they visit us often. 3, you play basketball once a week. 4, Tom works every day. Sorry, the work must be added with S. Tom works every day. 5. He always tells us funny stories. 6. She never helps me with that. 7. Mother and Kevin swim twice a week. 8. In this club, people usually dance a lot. 9. Linda takes care of her sister. 10. John rarely leaves the country. 11. We live in the city most of the year. 12. Laurie travels to Paris every Sunday. 13. I bake cookies twice a month. 14. You always teach me new things. And 15. She helps the kids of the neighborhood. And now let's move on to the next part, that is present continuous tense. So we use present continuous tense for something happening at or rather time of speaking. Please be quiet, the children are sleeping. Or Michael is at university, he's studying history. We also use this tense to talk about something arranged or planned for the future. For example, Mary is going to a new school next term. Or what are you doing next week? And we use present continuous tense for something changing, growing, or developing. For example, the children are growing quickly, or the climate is changing rapidly. In terms of the structure of present continuous tense, in the affirmative sentence, we have subject plus be plus verb in plus complement. As in now, I'm doing the washing up, or he is playing in the garden at the moment. And in the negative form, we have subject plus be plus not plus verb in plus complement. For example, they are not dancing right now, or it isn't getting colder. In the interrogative, we have be plus subject plus verb in plus complement. Now let's move on to a minor practice for a present continuous tense. You look at the picture on the screen and you please tell what is the person doing. And the key is he is crying. And next, what is this man doing? He is singing. What is this girl doing? She's thinking. Okay, and another practice, present simple and present continuous, in which you have to put the correct verb form, present simple or present continuous, in the blank. You have 10 questions here and few minutes for you to finish this practice. Okay, so have you finished? Alright, and this is the answers to practice present simple and present continuous. Number 1, where's John? He is listening to a new CD in his room. Number 2, don't forget to take your umbrella with you to London. You know it always rains in England. Number 3, Jean works hard all day, but she isn't working at the moment. Number 4, look, the boy is running up to the bus. He wants to catch it. Number 5, he speaks German so well because he comes from Germany. Number 6, shh, the boy is coming. We are meeting him in an hour and nothing's ready. Number 7, you really go away for Christmas. Are you stay at home? Number 8, she's holding some roses. They smell lovely. Oh no. Look, it is snowing again. It always snows in this country. Number 10. Mary seems very well, but she doesn't run very fast. Alright, so that is tenses, the present simple and present continuous. And now let's move on to should and shouldn't. I'm sure that you have ever learned about the verb, modal verb should. So, when do we use should and how do you use it? We use should or shouldn't to give advice. And we use should to say we think something is a good thing to do. For example, you should wait for the hostess to start eating first. And we use shouldn't when we think something is a bad thing to do. For example, you shouldn't ask people how much they earn. Should and shouldn't are used as auxiliary verbs in the negative and interrogative form. Verbs following them are bare infinitives. For example, should he come to see the daughter? Or shouldn't you eat too much meat? Now let's move on to the practice of should and shouldn't. You read the sentences, there are 7 sentences, and you fill in the blanks with should or shouldn't. Alright, so have you finished? Yeah, this is the key. Number 1, if it's rainy, you should take an umbrella. Number 2, Tom shouldn't eat so many lollipops. It's bad for his teeth. Number 3, I drink hot tea if I have a sore throat. Yes, you should. Number 4, they have a test tomorrow. They shouldn't go to the cinema. They should stay at home and study. Number 5, children eat lots of vegetables, but they shouldn't eat lots of sweets. Number 6, I have a party tonight. What should I wear? A dress or a pair of trousers? Number 7, the daughter said, you should eat healthy food. You shouldn't eat fast food. You shouldn't watch so much TV. And now let's move on to the next part, that is comparative and superlative adjectives. First, one-syllable adjectives. Form the comparative and superlative forms of one-syllable adjective by adding er for the comparative form and est for the superlative. For example, tall, taller, tallest, old, older, oldest. Long, longer, longest. Mary is taller than Max. Mary is the tallest of all you. Max is older than John. Of the 3 students, Max is the oldest. My hair is longer than your hair. Max's story is the longest story I've ever heard. If the one-syllable adjective ends with an E, just add R for the comparative form and ST for the superlative form. For example, large, larger, largest, wise, wiser, wisest. Mary's car is larger than Max's car. Mary's house is the tallest of all the houses on the block. Max is wiser than his brother. Max is the wisest person I know. If the one-syllable adjective ends with a single consonant with a vowel before it, double the consonant and add er for the comparative form, and double the consonant and add est for the superlative form. Big, bigger, biggest. Thin, thinner, thinnest. Fat, fatter, fattest. My dog is bigger than your dog. My dog is the biggest of all the dogs in the neighborhood. Max is thinner than John. Of all you in the class, Max is the thinnest. My mother is fatter than your mother. Mary is the fattest person I've ever seen. And for the two-syllable adjectives, with most two-syllable adjectives, you form the comparative with more and superlative with most. Peaceful, more peaceful. Most peaceful. Pleasant, more pleasant. Most pleasant. Careful, more careful. Most careful. Thoughtful, more thoughtful and most thoughtful. This morning is more peaceful than yesterday morning. Max's house in the mountains is the most peaceful in the world. Max is more careful than Mike. Of all the taxi drivers, Jack is the most careful. Jill is more thoughtful than your sister. Mary is the most thoughtful person I've ever met. If the two-syllable adjective ends with Y, change the Y to I and add ER for the comparative form. For the superlative form, change the Y to I and add EST. For example, happy, happier, happiest. Angry, angrier, angriest. Busy, busier, busiest. John is happier today than he was yesterday. John is the happiest boy in the world. Max is angrier than Mary. Of all of John's victims, Max is the angriest. Mary is busier than Max. Mary is the busiest person I've ever met. Two-syllable adjectives ending in er, le, or ow take er or est to form the comparative and superlative forms. For example, narrow, narrower, narrowest, gentle, gentler, gentlest. The roads in this town are narrower than the roads in the city. This road is the narrowest of all the roads in California. Big dogs are gentler than small dogs. Of all the dogs in the world, English mastiffs are the gentlest. For adjectives with 3 syllables or more, you form the comparative with, for example, generous, more generous, most generous. Important, more important, most important. Intelligent, more intelligent, most intelligent. John is more generous than Jack. John is the most generous of all the people I know. Health is more important than money. Of all the people I know, Max is the most important. Women are more intelligent than men. Mary is the most intelligent person I've ever met. Now let's move on to a practice of comparative and superlative adjectives. A few minutes for you to finish it. Alright, so time is over, and I think that you have done and finished this practice. It's quite easy, right? Number 1, Jeremy is 10 years old. Jenny is 8 years old. Jeremy is older than Jenny. Number 2, the Alps are very high. They are the highest mountains in Europe. Number 3, an ocean is larger than a sea. Number 4, a Rolls Royce costs a lot of money. A Twingo costs less. A Rolls Royce is more expensive than a Twingo. Number 5, John's results were bad. Fred's were very poor. Fred's results were worse than John's. Number 6, this exercise is not very difficult. It's easier than I expected. Number 7, the weather is not good today. It's raining. I hope the weather will be better next week. And now let's move on to another part, that is simple past tense. So, how is this tense used? We use simple past tense to talk about an action that started and finished in the past. For example, J.F. Kennedy died in 1963. The Egyptians invented paper. I saw a great film last week. I had bread for breakfast this morning. We also use simple past tense to talk about a series of finished events in the past. For example, yesterday I got up at 6, had a shower, went down into the kitchen, sat down, and had breakfast. There are many time expressions which are often used in conjunctions with the past simple. Yesterday, last week, last month, last year, the day before yesterday, a long time ago, when I was young, 6 months, 6 years, 6 days ago, in 1996, before the war, in the 15th century, for example. About the structure of this tense, in the affirmative sentence, we have subject plus verb, past, that is regular or irregular, plus complement. She worked all last year for a company called Qdas. I lived in Madrid for a year in the 1990s. She went to work by bus last week. I wrote him a long letter. In the negative sentence, you have subject plus did not or didn't plus verb plus C. JFK didn't die in Miami. He died in Florida. They didn't go out last night after all. In the interrogative form, you have question word plus did plus subject plus verb plus complement and then question mark. What time did you go to bed yesterday? How many cups of coffee did he drink during the meeting? Did you meet her last week? So that's all about the use and the structure of simple past tense. And now let's do a minor practice about simple past tense. Use the following verbs in brackets in past simple tense. Okay, so have you finished? And here is the answer. Last year, I went to England on holiday. It was fantastic. I visited lots of interesting places. I was with 2 friends of mine. In the mornings, we walked in the streets of London. In the evenings, we went to parks. The weather was strangely fine. It didn't rain a lot. But we saw some beautiful rainbows. Where did you spend your last holiday? And this is also the final part for today's Vclass. If you have any questions, please contact me on the study forum, or you can email me or contact me via mobile phone. Thank you for your listening and attention, and goodbye.